Outland put Sean Connery in the darkest corner of the solar system and hid some strange secrets there. Did you know the film's climax was officially rewritten in another version of the story? Or that this movie wasn't supposed to be set in space at all? 15 facts, starting with the biggest. 15. The alternate ending. The climax was officially rewritten. Let's settle this first because clickbait loves to promise Outland's banned alternate ending. Here's the documented truth, and it's better than the myth. No secret footage sits in a vault. The alternate version exists on the page in the official 1981 novelization. Its author, the legendary Alan Dean Foster, the man who novelized Alien and ghost-wrote the Star Wars novel, read Hyams's script and gasped at the climactic shotgun battle. His objection was pure physics. In his own words, you don't use projectile weapons in a closed environment with vacuum or poisonous atmosphere outside. His blunt two-word solution fixed that. Foster rewrote the film's famous finale to make scientific sense, meaning the story's official companion version ends differently than the movie does. And the deeper alternate version? The entire film originally wasn't science fiction at all, which brings us straight to number 14. 14. Outland was originally a Western, and everyone rejected it. Peter Hyams has told the origin story himself, and it's a perfect Hollywood parable. I wanted to do a Western, he recalled. Everybody said, you can't do a Western. Westerns are dead. Nobody will do a Western. Then came his realization. The genre wasn't dead. It had simply moved. After Star Wars and Alien, the Western was, in one critic's phrase, alive and well in science fiction drag. So Hyams took the bones of High Noon, the lone marshal, the town that won't help, the killers arriving on schedule, and relocated Dodge City to a moon of Jupiter. His stated goal wasn't wonder or glamour, but how hard life was on a frontier. Even then, the rejections continued. Universal turned the film down with Sean Connery already attached. Producer Richard Roth finally carried it to Alan Ladd Jr.'s new company, which bankrolled the space Western nobody wanted. Every studio passed on High Noon twice. 13. It was the first film to use a new visual effects process. Outland holds a genuine technical first that even effects buffs often miss. It was the first movie ever to use Introvision, a sophisticated front projection process that could sandwich a live actor between a projected background and a projected foreground element, all captured together in a single shot, in camera. Where traditional blue screen required expensive optical compositing later, often with telltale matte lines. Introvision let Connery seemingly walk through vast mining installations and alien landscapes that existed only as photographic plates, with the layering done live on set. For a mid-budget film trying to conjure an entire industrial colony on Io, the technique was a quiet revolution. It stretched roughly $14 million into a world that feels enormous, grimy, and physically real. Introvision went on to serve Hollywood for years, famously helping a fugitive leap from a dam in 1993's The Fugitive. But its maiden voyage was here, on Jupiter's most miserable moon. 12. Connery vanished mid-shoot to film a scene for another movie. Here's a backstage story that shows exactly how much goodwill Sean Connery commanded. Weeks before Outland, Connery had personally suggested to director Terry Gilliam that he appear in one extra scene of Time Bandits. And he was determined to keep his word. The problem: the scene had to be filmed during Outland's production, on a housing estate in nearby Slough. So Connery asked Outland's producers for a morning off. They were under no contractual obligation whatsoever to release their star mid-shoot. And they said yes anyway, as a pure gesture of goodwill, shooting around his absence with his stunt double. Connery filmed Gilliam's scene, reappeared after lunch, and normal filming resumed as if nothing happened. It's a lovely double image. In 1981, audiences watched Connery in two films shot simultaneously, Marshal of Io by afternoon, and Time Bandits Fireman by morning, thanks to producers who bet on keeping their legend happy. 11. The director shot the movie, himself looked closely at Outland's credits, and you'll find Stephen Goldblatt listed as cinematographer. But the man actually operating much of the photography was Peter Hyams himself. Hyams, a former news cameraman, handled the cinematography for most of the film, a habit that became his career-long signature. On later films, he took the official credit too, making him one of Hollywood's rare director-cinematographers. That dual role explains Outland's distinctive look: the smoky shafts of light, the oppressive fluorescent corridors, the widescreen frames where human figures shrink inside industrial machinery. There was no negotiation between a director's vision and a cameraman's interpretation, because they shared one skull. It also explains the film's most praised quality: atmosphere. Critics who dismissed the plot as recycled high noon still marveled at the texture. A future that looks sweat-stained, cramped, and lived in. Hyams didn't just direct the loneliest outpost in the solar system. He personally aimed the camera at it. 10. The exploding bodies are famous. And completely wrong, Outland announces itself with one of the most notorious images in 80s sci-fi. A miner's pressure suit ruptures, and his head swells and bursts like a balloon. It happens again in an airlock, in gruesome detail. Audiences never forgot it, and scientists never forgave it. But here's the fascinating part: the scientific wrongness is why it works. Hyams needed the audience to fear the environment itself, to understand instantly that on Io, the outside is a loaded gun pressed against every window. The exploding head effect, achieved with inflatable dummies, became the film's signature scare and its most referenced moment. Sometimes a movie must choose between accuracy and dread. Outland chose dread spectacularly. 9. More frightening than Alien, because the monster is us. Outland was released into Alien's long shadow. Same used future grime, same corporate rot, same claustrophobic corridors, and inevitably got compared to it. But the Philadelphia Inquirer's Desmond Ryan spotted what made it unique, calling it a brilliant sci-fi western. In many ways more frightening than Alien, because he surmises that space will change us very little, and the real monsters we are liable to encounter will be in the next spacesuit. There is no creature in Outland. The horror is a productivity quota. The plot's engine is chillingly mundane. Management pumps workers full of an amphetamine that boosts output for months before driving them psychotic. And the company considers the math acceptable. Dead miners are a line item. The marshal investigating them is the actual problem. Decades before corporate dystopia became a genre cliché, Outland built one entirely from overtime, quotas, and middle managers. No alien required. Quick decompression stop. Safely, unlike the miners. If this deep dive is earning it, hit like and subscribe, because we excavate a classic like this every week. Now, back to Io, starting with the future sitcom legend who explodes in the first 10 minutes. 8. Cliff from Cheers explodes in the opening scene. Outland's cast is a time capsule of careers about to detonate. The very first victim, the miner who hallucinates spiders and tears open his own pressure suit, is John Ratzenberger, 1 year before he became Cliff Clavin on Cheers, and later Pixar's Lucky Charm in every one of their films. The deranged worker taken hostage mid-film is Steven Berkoff, soon to be the 80s go-to villain in Beverly Hills Cop, Octopussy, and Rambo. Walking the corridors is a young Clark Peters, decades before The Wire made him a legend. And towering over everyone in a supporting role is Francis Sternhagen as Dr. Lazarus, the burned-out colony medic whose sardonic double act with Connery critics singled out as the film's beating heart. Her weary line delivery turns exposition into poetry. Outland's marketing sold 1 star. The film quietly contained half a dozen futures, one of whom pops like a balloon before the title settles. 7. Jerry Goldsmith scored it in his monster movie Golden Age. The dread soaking every corridor of Outland has a name: Jerry Goldsmith. The maestro composed Outland in the middle of an unmatched hot streak, fresh off his Oscar for The Omen, his groundbreaking Alien score, and Star Trek: The Motion Picture, with Poltergeist arriving the following year. For Outland, he built something deliberately ugly beautiful. Grinding, industrial suspense cues, brassy stabs for the assassin's arrival, and a main title that sounds like machinery morning. It's often ranked by film music devotees among his most underrated works, a score that treats a mining colony like a haunted house. There's a fitting connection here for longtime viewers of this channel. Goldsmith scored Star Trek: The Motion Picture, whose story was co-created by Alan Dean Foster, the same writer who novelized Outland and fixed its ending. In 1981's science fiction, all roads seem to intersect. Same composers, same novelists, same handful of geniuses passing each other in the airlock. 6. The Lost Adaptations, an unfinished comic and a 750 photo book. Outland spawned a small universe of spin-off artifacts that have themselves become buried treasure. Comics legend Jim Steranko, the man who revolutionized Nick Fury for Marvel, illustrated an adaptation serialized in Heavy Metal magazine across the June 1981, October 1981, and January 1982 issues. It has never been collected into a graphic novel, making Steranko's Outland a ghost, one of the great comic artists' major works readable only by hunting down 40-year-old magazines. The film also received a lavish photo novel, Outland the movie novel, promoted as containing over 750 full-color photographs, essentially the entire film pressed between covers for the pre-VHS world. And the strangest tribute came decades later. Prog metal project Star One from Ariane's Arjen Lucassen recorded a song based on the film, punningly titled High Moon. A lost comic, a photographic fossil, and a metal anthem, Outland's merchandise shelf is as odd as its moon. 5. The villain went from Frankenstein's monster to Everybody Loves. Raymond Peter Boyle's casting as Shepard, the colony's corrupt general manager, is one of the film's quiet masterstrokes, and one of the strangest career arcs in Hollywood. 7 years earlier, Boyle was young Frankenstein's monster, tap dancing to Puttin' on the Ritz. 15 years later, he'd be beloved as grumpy Frank Barone on Everybody Loves Raymond. In between, he delivered this, a chillingly understated corporate predator who never raises his voice, never touches a weapon, and orders murders the way other men order lunch. Critics praised how restrained Boyle played it. No cackling, no theatrics, just the banal confidence of a middle manager who knows the company will always back him. His philosophy is the film's thesis. The workers are happy, the money flows, and one honest marshal is simply a maintenance issue. Between the monster and the sitcom dad, Peter Boyle played something scarier than both. A man with a budget. 4. The remake. Hollywood announced, then abandoned Outland's story has a modern epilogue that went nowhere. On August 18, 2009, Warner Brothers officially announced a remake. Director Michael Davis, hot off the hyper-stylized action film Shoot 'em Up, was hired to redevelop Io's mining colony from a script by Chad St. John. Trade papers covered it. Fans debated whether the grimy 81 aesthetic could survive a 2000s gloss. And then, silence. No casting was ever announced, no start date ever set, and the project quietly evaporated into development limbo, where it remains. There's something fitting about that fate. Outland was rejected as a Western, rejected at Universal even with Connery attached, and underperformed in theaters. A film that has spent its entire existence being almost wanted. The remake's disappearance completes the pattern. Hollywood keeps circling this story of one stubborn man on a hostile moon and keeps deciding every time that it's too much trouble. 3. It opened in the deadliest summer in movie history. Timing killed Outland's box office, and the timing was historic. The film opened May 22, 1981, 3 weeks before Raiders of the Lost Ark, into a season crowded with Superman 2, Clash of the Titans, For Your Eyes Only, an escape from New York. The New York Times would later crown it Hollywood's record-grossing summer. Against that murderer's row, Outland's bleak R-rated corporate nightmare earned a modest $17 to $20 million on its roughly $14 million budget. Respectable, unspectacular, forgettable to accountants. The critics split along the same fault line. Some dismissed it as high noon with the serial numbers filed off. Others, like Roger Ebert, admired its textured, wholly convincing vision of an unromanticized industrial future. Nobody called it a hit. But box office is a sprint, and Outland, fittingly for its hero, turned out to be built for the long, lonely distance. As number 2 proves. 2. The flop that became a restored classic Outland's afterlife is the redemption its Marshall earned. Dismissed in 1981, the film refused to disappear. Home video, cable rotations, and word of mouth slowly built it a devoted cult who recognized what critics had missed. One of the last great practical effects visions of blue-collar space, a bridge between aliens' grime and every hard-bitten space frontier that followed. Fans of the space western lineage that runs through later beloved series routinely cite Outland as an unsung ancestor. The vindication arrived in physical form, a lavish 4K restoration released by Arrow Video, treating this minor film to the archival reverence usually reserved for acknowledged masterpieces. And modern viewers watching it, remastered consistently, report the same shock. It holds up. The sets convince. The tension grips. Connery's tired-eyed performance ranks with his best. 1. The anti-Star Wars, the film that made space a job step back, and Outland's real achievement comes into focus. In 1981, science fiction meant escape. Lightsabers, droids, adventure. Outland looked at the same stars and saw a shift schedule. Its space has no aliens, no wonder, no destiny. Just quotas, company script, prefab corridors, prostitution franchises, and workers grinding through one-year contracts while management skims the margins. It took the oldest American story, the lone lawman nobody will stand beside, and proved it worked anywhere because greed and cowardice travel at any velocity. Hyams made his Western after all. The frontier just moved 400 million miles. Those were 15 facts most fans have never heard about Outland. Which one got you? The novelization fixing the ending, or Connery moonlighting on Time Bandits mid-shoot? File your report in the comments. If this earned it, hit like, subscribe, and send it to someone who still checks their spacesuit twice. Until next time, last shuttle's leaving.